Everybody, this is Perch. Talking about a couple things with the videos and some content we want to do. This is kind of a question, but we'll spiral into some other things. So, two questions here. Second one's one we're going to talk more about. The first one is, how long does it take to record a video with Joe, the artists, the editors, writers the interview, along with other people, edited down and put up on YouTube for people like me to see? This is coming from Shabazz Sterling. That there's more to that name, but it's cutting it off. Anyway, the short answer there is not that much time. Honestly, what happens is typically we set up a time with the whoever is being interviewed. Make sure the time's going to work between myself and with Joe and the creator, which is usually a little bit of kind of back and forth and craziness. And then once we get that time set, we do it. Typically record on StreamYard, just like what you're seeing when you join in on a live stream. Difference is here it's recorded. So we go through it. There's usually not a whole lot of prep. One of the things I do with people I interview is that we interview it, we tape it, I cut it, I then send it to the creator. It gives them a chance before I post it. Now, this is, I've mentioned this before, and it got some people angry for some reason that I was doing. Like, why are you giving the creator a chance to take a look at it? Well, because it's a sanity check before it goes live. This isn't, my channel's not a news publication. This isn't, this is meant to be entertainment. And so what I want to do, and the reason why I'm doing that is basically to give the creator kind of one last check to make sure they didn't accidentally say something they shouldn't say. When I say shouldn't say, it's never been the case, or, well, it's been the case once that the creator actually said something, that's like a bad to somebody else. So not offensive, just was going through some things that were frustrating, and a name popped out of there that it was better to edit it and not stir up the drama. But more often than not, what does happen quite a bit is the creator starts talking about projects that they have coming up, and then they realize, and this is what I want to do with the interviews is make them as free flowing as possible. I don't want the creator to have to be sitting there thinking about what NDA they've signed or what kind of what projects they can announce or not announce. So we just kind of roll with it. And then, every now and then the creator will say something for a project that's not announced yet. So by letting them hear it, it gives them the opportunity at their own discretion. And about half the people I listen, and half the people are like, no, it's good. We'll go for it. They don't bother to kind of look at it ahead of time. It gives them the opportunity to say, hey, we need to cut that part out because actually it hasn't been announced yet. I don't want to get my other creators in trouble or anything else. That's the reason why that happens. But generally, the editing of this stuff is pretty quick. The interviews obviously take longer because they're longer videos, but usually it's fishing around, finding the images, putting them up there. I was grabbing a bunch of images, and it's Joe Casey. I can use his name. Is the one who's suffered the most from my stupidity. Because I put up images, and I was grabbing a bunch of images from him in the past, and picked one that wasn't him and put it into the video. And then he's like, hey, at the 23-minute mark, there's somebody who's definitely not me in there. And it's like, you feel like a big dumbass in that case. But anyway, he's suffered the most from me doing stupid stuff like that, which has happened. I don't think I'm talking out of turn here. Guy who is like incredibly helpful, Jim Zub, who not only great interviews, but then he's like, and here's a bunch of images that could help, and he just sends me a lot of the art, which is never anything I ask anybody for, and truly awesome. Appreciate that. But generally speaking, that's how long it takes. The biggest obstacle to getting interviews done is me. And I know, I mean, this is where my life and the comic channel kind of diverge a little bit. The last 3 months or so, a little bit more than that, since June, July, have been the absolute most busy, hellish months that I have had it's been years. Just an insane amount of things spinning and coming around, and I just has been a mess. Do have a lot of apologies to people just in getting back to them in a reasonable time frame. A lot of creators waiting on me to get this interview set up and everything else. But that's what's going on. I do love this channel, and I like putting this stuff out there for it. I don't know again how long it will go, but that's how long the videos generally take. So the other part of the question is, and that actually took way longer than I thought, is when are we going to do a video on the late Will Eisner? That's a great question, and thank you for asking. And we'll do not probably not just one video, multiple videos. I think Will Eisner has a number of aspects to his life, his career, what he contributed, all kinds of things that Will Eisner deserves a lot of credit for. So I'm going to read the comment here from the person who sent me the question, which is a good primer. He says, Will Eisner is a pioneer in the comics world. He was the one who is credited, as far as I know, with the creator-owned theme. Without him, they would almost be no Todd McFarlane Spawn. I think that Todd took some of Will's entrepreneurship or business savvy onto him. You can relate those that last sentence, Perch, since you're a business owner, entrepreneur, whichever of those words you use. Clumsy idiot is the word I normally use, but thank you. That's my thinking. The way the story is visually, and not have the superhero wear skin tight costumes like Spirit, because the late Steve Ditko took that element from the late Will Eisner, and with these two characters, Question and A. Also, the late Will Eisner had impact on one of the comic book legends, Frank Miller. Bluntly, the Will Eisner had impact on everyone, and I think anyone who says otherwise is full of it. I think Will Eisner, whether either directly or indirectly, has had impacts on nearly everyone in comics. He's one of those people. I think there's a very short list. I mean, Stan Lee fits in there, Jack Kirby fits in there for sure. There's several people, and that's a great video in and of itself. But Will Eisner is somebody who I think deserves to be known a lot more than just kind of the Eisners. This award that bears his name, which is fine, but I mean, it doesn't speak to the contributions. Anyway, it says, I see the late Will Eisner work minus the award named after him as the underlook in the genre that he helped produce. I should have actually just finished the paragraph before I went on to talk about the awards. Will Eisner is an incredible human being in a lot of ways. I think Eisner is I don't want to say misunderstood, but I think he suffered from not having nearly enough people go over his life and his career. I think the Spirit and some of those works that he did in the 40s were certainly influential. I think that more importantly, though, his kind of approach to storytelling and graphic novels and comic formats, I think, were incredible. Scott McCloud has talked about Will Eisner from time to time. Will Eisner was the original, I think, person who was able to kind of package and describe sequential art and what it could do for you and what it could do for storytelling in a lot of ways. I think he is absolutely incredible. If you ever read A Contract with God, this is one of those books. I think everybody knows this story, but it was, I think, one of the first graphic novels, certainly, or the thing that kind of labeled itself as a graphic novel. I think that the other thing that is a compliment I would have for him is he was able to take classic stories. I think the most famous of them being Moby Dick, but he did many of them. And he was able to kind of repurpose them in a comic book sequential art format. And you might say, "Oh, what's the big deal about that? What's the big deal about taking classics and making them comic books? It doesn't really mean much. It actually means a lot because not only did it give comic books some credibility at a time period, certainly when he did it, but also it reminded people of the power of storytelling. It reminded people of the imagery and things that came out of kind of these classic works. He is absolutely an incredible lecturer, speaker. He was a very gifted teacher. He was one of the people where, again, I don't know that this is something that's said a lot about him, but he helped an incredible amount of people. This was a guy who typically went out of his way to mentor and help, and I've talked about on this channel before the people who the one thing the comic industry I think is badly missing right now is mentorship. I think there's a lot of new people coming in that view comics in a very warped, very weird way, and I think the helping hand of a mentor would go a long ways to helping people find their footing, to save money more carefully, to get good deals. Will Eisner was one of those. He was an incredible, absolutely incredible mentor. He built people that trust him. He had I know there's always somebody who's got a negative word for someone else. But in comics, it's hard to find somebody who legitimately, seriously has a bad word to say about Will Eisner, unless it's born out of jealousy or just pettiness. I think he's a guy who had an incredible impact on comics and on storytelling. So, at any rate, we will get into Will Eisner. Thank you for the question in this video, and definitely somebody to explore. And I'll try and get some people to talk about it in the near future. Thanks for asking. If you have any questions for the channel, please by all means send them in. Always happy to answer them. Thanks for listening.